Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about Vietnamese currency. It's kind of an idea that I had for a video because it was a little confusing at first when I first got here. Now I'm actually quite used to it. I kind of consider it a bit like monopoly money, and the reason that is because you always have so much of it in your wallet and the number is like really high. Vietnamese money is in the thousands, so like when you go to buy something, they won't say, for example, I go buy a pack of cigarettes and they'll tell me it costs 26. Now that's really means 26,000, but they're not going to say 26,000. They just say 26, and that makes things easier. And it's like that when you go anywhere. If you're going to the market and you're trying to buy a new shirt, they're going to tell you it costs 80, it costs 100, it costs 120, etc. The conversion rate from USD to Vietnamese dong is $1 for every 23,224 dong. To make it easier in my head, I just do $1 for every 25,000 dong. The problem with the number being so hard is, for example, there's an ATM machine by my house and the max I can pull out at one time is 3 million. And some of you might think, well, man, that's a lot of money, but in actuality it's not. It's only about 130 bucks. Vietnam is a very cash-based society. It's very rare that you'll find a store or a vendor that will actually take a card. So if you were to make a large purchase, you'd have to go to an ATM and make a transaction several times. The problem with that is every time I make the transaction, especially using my Chase account, Chase wants to charge me $5, and the ATM itself wants to charge me 1.5%. Now it doesn't really seem like that much, but it can add up over time. There's a way I found around this, and there's probably other methods too, but I'll discuss that at the end of my video, what I personally do to save my money on these transaction fees. First bill I want to talk about is a 1,000 dong bill. Now you'll see quite a lot of these as they're given away of change. This is actually the smallest bill you'll see more often. However, I have seen a 500 and I think I've seen a 200, but I think I gave them away. And looking back, I don't really think I should have because I guess they're really rare. But thousands you'll see all the time, and it's valued at roughly 4 cents or 0.04 USD. The next bill in order of denomination is the $5,000 dong, and that one is worth roughly about 22 cents. And on to the next bill, we have the 10,000 note, and that's worth about 43 cents. After that, we have the 20,000 note, and that would be worth double that at 86 cents. Now the next two notes I really like because I mentioned that in my head I do 25,000 dong for every $1 US. Now the reason why I like these next two notes is because in my head this makes it a lot easier. This 50,000 note in my head is of course worth $2, so I know if I go out to the bar and buy 2 beers, or I go to the coffee shop and buy 2 coffees, a beer or a coffee is roughly 25,000, which is $1, but since there's not a $25,000 note, I don't really keep that conversion in my head. However, a 50 I can easily equate to $2. And then there's the 100. Now the 100 is a very common note, and in my head that's $4. Very easy. Now the next bill in order is the 200,000 bill, which is worth $8. And this is not a note I see very often unless I'm just breaking a 500,000 by buying something cheap, and then I will get it as change. And the largest bill that I've seen is the 500,000. Now I did a Google search to confirm it was the largest bill, and I couldn't find a larger bill, so I think it actually is the largest bill. When I go to an ATM and withdraw in the millions, this is the bill I'll get. So for example, I will withdraw 3 million and they'll give me 6 of these. One neat thing I wanted to point out, and this is actually a picture I took myself using my cell phone on my bedroom floor, is if you look to the right of this, you'll see what is a clear spot, and that clear spot actually has a thin piece of plastic going through it, and if you look really closely, and you can't see it in the picture, it says 500,000 across a strip of plastic. Now you only see these strips on the 10,000s and up. You won't see them on the 200s, 500s, 1,000s, or 5,000s. Before I decided to travel Southeast Asia, I used at home JP Morgan Chase as my bank. And I was really happy with it. There were branches in every city I was in, especially in the small town that I was from. It was really easy to bank online. But after doing a little research into traveling, what I found out is there's a bank called Charles Schwab, which operates internationally. Now, it's true, Chase does operate internationally too. They even have a branch here in Saigon. And I went to visit their office to replace what I thought was a lost ATM card, but I found it later. But what they told me is they don't service American accounts, so I was actually kind of glad I got myself a Charles Schwab account before I came. Now with Charles Schwab, you can use that internationally at any ATM, and you still get charged the fee at the ATM, that 1.5% that I mentioned for every transaction. But what Charles Schwab does is at the end of your 30-day cycle, it'll refund any fees incurred, and it doesn't charge you a fee itself. Chase will charge me $5 per transaction. Man, can that really add up? It also, according to the websites, gives you a competitive exchange rate from USD to Dong or whatever denomination of currency you're exchanging to. Not quite sure what that means, but it sounded good enough for me. And from what I do is when I get any kind of deposits back home, I will use the Charles Schwab online banking and just move them into my Charles Schwab account. It takes a couple days, but if I plan ahead and make sure that I always have money in my Schwab account, I can always use an ATM and not worry about the fees, which is really helpful. And that's it for the video. And if you guys can think of anything I may have left out or just have any other questions, please leave them below. And as always, please like and subscribe so I can feel special. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye.